Hey YouTube, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm doing a draft review on every single draft pick in the draft. I do this every year. I do this for every single team. I've been doing it for a couple of years. If you want to see all the other teams, go to YouTube. You're going to click on the homepage, search Rico Knows, and then go to the playlist. And you'll see the top playlist, 2025 NFL Draft Reviews and Assessments, where I talk about every single draft pick from all the other teams. I've done 24 other teams. But let's talk about the Jets in this particular video. You see it here. The Jets had 7 draft picks. And the Jets have been doing something over the last 2 years or so where they're trying to change the culture of their team, and they're doing it from the trenches. So with this particular draft, with the first pick, in the 7th overall pick, they take Armin Membo. And some people will tell you this is a great pick. This is one of them slam dunk picks because it's a young man who's very dominant at Missouri. He plays right tackle, though. And I don't necessarily know if I want to draft right tackle in the first round with the 7th overall pick. I love left tackles. I love some other things going on. But right tackle doesn't really feel like the move for me. And when I look at this team, the strength of them is the offensive tackle. Or, excuse me, the offensive line. They have a number of good blockers, right? A number of good offensive linemen. I'm talking about Tippmann at center. They had a first-round draft pick at left tackle, I think a second round at left guard. So, and they've addressed the other guard position with free agency. So it just feels like they're all in on the offensive line. And that makes sense. If you want to build that way, I got you. And shout out to Aaron Glenn, their new head coach, probably just sitting there saying, all right, give me all the right pieces to be tough up front. Help us eat some clock up, and we won't lose a lot of games by a lot of points because we will have the ball and we will be churning out first downs. It's a cool concept. I don't necessarily know if I like it, though. I know you needed a tight end, and I think there's a huge talent gap between the top 2 tight ends and Mason Taylor that you took in the 2nd round. Now, I like Mason Taylor, probably one of my hidden gems, one of my favorite tight ends out there that I like. He's cool, but Mason Taylor's never taken over a game in his life. He's never had 100 yards receiving in college. He's never taken over a game to where you thought it was awesome. Every now and then he does a good play in the red zone. But when you have a predominantly passing attack at LSU where they can just drop back, the nuts bus can go ham and throw all these yards, has all these weapons, all these targets, you're telling me those receivers don't take double coverage and leave you one-on-one with somebody where to the point where you can't dominate a game like some of the other tight ends? So you pass on Tyler Warren. You pass on Love. Like you pass on Colston. Like you pass on real polished superstars to take Armin Membo at a position group that you don't necessarily need. Do they need a right tackle? Sure. Is it a first-round necessity or priority? I don't think so. You know, in the military, when you come across a casualty and it's on the ground, you have to prioritize what the biggest issue is here. And we would always say, check for breathing, check for bleeding, check for this, check for that. Bro, you walked up, homie has a broken finger, and you're addressing the broken finger when you're missing the fact that they've got a carotid artery just going ham on their neck, right? The femoral artery on their leg is gone. They need a damn tourniquet. But you're sitting here talking about a broken finger. You're addressing something. You got a great hand. You use the rest of your fingers. They got a great offensive line. They didn't necessarily need another offensive lineman. But now you have one. And now you put in a whole lot of resources into an offensive lineman. And now you have a tight end in the 2nd round that you're going to have to start. You're going to have to play. And I've never seen him take over a game on a Saturday. Never mind a Sunday. He's never done it on a Saturday. Good kid. Good player. Stop talking about he's Jason Taylor's son. Rico, we got a legacy player. Man, shut up, man. He played for the Jets for 2 seconds. That's a Dolphin. Then in the 3rd round, they get Azareye'h Thomas. Azareye'h Thomas is a man corner. Like him a lot. Friend of the channel. Shout out to him. Shout out to his mother, his brother. I've made many videos on this family, and I just think the world of Azareye'h Thomas as a player. 6'2", I believe, over 200 pounds, very physical, can reroute receivers. I like his ability to play man. And then we find out he runs a 4.6 40. Not good enough. Not good enough. And I'm telling you, some of you guys will be like, no, that is good enough, Rico. I know Richard Sherman. I know this. I know that. Shut up, man. Playing man corner is a little different monster here. If you don't get the jam and you don't get the reroute and you don't knock him off his get off or his release, you are cooked. You have no recovery speed. 4.6 40 at corner means you cannot recover. You can't close the gap. At all. You might have adequate speed to play in the zone. You might have adequate speed to keep someone in front of you, but you are not catching up to anyone after their rocker step. You're not catching up to anybody after their fade. Once you turn your hips, it's over. It's done. So that's why he dropped in the draft, because this is a player that we would like to see. Now, someone will tell you, well, he looks really fast on the film. He looks really good on film. I believe you. I do. I like the way he looks on film. I think he's a good football player. I'm a big fan. I hope it works out for him. I hope it does. But I will never let fandom dictate my assessment of the draft pick. And I just don't feel like it's a slam dunk. I think there's a conversion issue here, or converting from college to the NFL, and corners can't be slow in the NFL. There's just no such thing. It's not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. I think that's probably the number one trait you got to have. You don't know how to catch. You can go out there and not be able to catch a pass in your life, but can you get on that guy's hip and run stride for stride with him? Can you get sticky when he drops his hips and turns back to the quarterback? Can you drive off that foot, whether you're T-stepping or whatever, but can you drive off that foot and drive back to the quarterback and bat down this pass or intercept it? I love the way Azareye'h Thomas played at Florida State. I hope it works out for him. The Jets drafting players, this whole first three is just very for me. It's not quite there when there's other options and there's other players, okay? And then you go get Arian Smith. And there are Jets fans trying to justify every single pick. And I'm going to say it in every single video, guys. You have to look at the draft class and identify the bus. You have to identify where you got it wrong. You have to, because it's going to happen for every single team. One of your draft picks, if not more, half of the class, is going to be a complete bust and not contribute to the team the way you envisioned on draft night. And some of you guys are trying to tell me Arian Smith has all the potential in the world to be a good football player. I don't know what games you were watching, but I know the games I watch. And I've watched every game of that man's life. I've watched every play of that young man's career. Not a football player. Track athlete, sure. He should go race Tyreek Hill. He should go race in the offseason on some track somewhere and run that 10-100 meters. But he ain't got it, bruh. He ain't got it. You know, it reminds me of the hype for Anthony Richardson. Like when they draft a player based upon metrics and how fast they can run and all this. But they're not drafting football players. They're ignoring the production or lack thereof. They're ignoring all the drop passes. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think it's a wide receiver coach issue? Do you think he's going to be taught how to catch passes? You think a jugs machine is going to fix this? That guy can't play football. And you draft him in the 4th round. You know, I see potential-driven draft picks in the 7th round. Freaks of nature. Freaks, you know, these guys with tremendous metrics and test numbers and all that. You get them in the 7th round. You didn't even have to draft this kid. This kid is an undraftable football player. Undraftable. No team was going to draft him. You wasted a draft pick. It's absurd. Dude can't play football. You could have got a receiver that's going to, and you know what? One of these 4th rounders is going to be a Pro Bowler. You could have got him. Doesn't matter who it is. Could have got him. Instead, you take Arian Smith, who can't catch a football. It's only the most important trait of being a wide receiver, catching the ball. He can't do that aspect of it. He can run like the wind. He's fast as hell. Cool, bro. Don't like the pick at all. Give it an F. Complete F. It might be the worst pick in the whole draft. And it's worse than the Patriots drafting a long snapper. That's a non-football player. He's so bad, people think Carson Beck can't play quarterback now. Remember, when you make potential-driven draft picks, the whole world will talk about it like you're a genius and no one else saw it coming. Anthony Richardson, potential-driven draft pick. What made it a disaster is he was drafted in the 1st round. No one would be mad if you drafted Anthony Richardson in the 7th round. He's a project. But you draft him in the 1st round, you got to play him. You take this kid in the 4th round, you got to play him. It's silly. Not an NFL caliber wide receiver in the slightest. Not even a little bit. Next, Malachi Moore, high character guy. Love Malachi Moore. Been starting at Alabama since he was a freshman, 2-time team captain. Been all over the field, tackling everywhere. Very limited with his top end speed. Kind of like Azareye'h Thomas, only he's older. Better character guy, probably selfless, willing to play special teams and go out there and give his all. I like guys like Malachi Moore in my locker room. I do. So shout out to them for that draft pick. Probably not the highest ceiling in the world, but definitely a very high floor, at least an adequate floor, if you will, as far as ability and talent go. Then in the 5th round, you take Francisco Mauigoa. I don't know if I say his name right. I've been saying that for 3 years now. Him and his 5-star younger brother playing tackle at Miami. But Francisco Kiko is his nickname. He actually transferred from Washington State over to Miami. Miami had a 2-year starter in Corey Flagg Jr. there. Corey Flagg had to transfer to Missouri. He couldn't play here no more. And Francisco's carrying that team and leading that team. I think he's great. I think the way he tackles, the way he plays is there. He's a pretty decent-sized linebacker, and he runs like a 4.6 40. So he reminds me of, was it Ray Maluga, the USC linebacker? Yeah, very similar traits and skills, and the ability to play in space is there. He can do it all. I like the guy. Borderline NFL linebacker, but I like him. And then the last pick, Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron might be the worst draft pick in this class. Even though I told you Arian Smith is the worst draft pick in the whole draft, Tyler Barron is equally as bad because you traded a 5th rounder. I think they traded a 4th rounder to move up 10 spots. They traded multiple picks to move up 10 spots to take Tyler Barron. Tyler Barron can't play football, guys. I talked about this in my transfer portal videos all last year when 24/7 Sports on 3, all of a sudden they started ranking Tyler Barron the best edge rusher in the transfer portal. They started putting it out there. He's in the transfer portal. He's the best edge rusher. He's coming out of Vols. He's coming out of the SEC, and he used to play at Tennessee, and he's going to go here. He's going to go there. And I went and turned on the tape. I wanted to go see this dominant edge rusher they're talking about. It's the best one in the transfer portal. And I turned it on, and guys, as soon as I saw the tape and I watched what he was doing, I said, this guy in 2023 got 2 sacks in the SEC. During SEC play, he got 2 sacks. Oh, but Rico, he had 8.5 sacks, 6.5 sacks, whatever number they gave me. I didn't give a shit. I said he only gets those numbers against inferior offensive tackles. The minute he gets into conference play, he's nothing. He does not impress me. Transfers to Miami, I tell you guys, guess what? They got themselves a rotational player. Does not impress me. And what's he do at Miami? 3 sacks in a game. Who was it against? Florida A&M. Once again, just a stat merchant against scrub-ass teams. But once we get into conference play, disappears. Well, you're about to be in conference play for the rest of your life. There's no scrub teams. It's the NFL. Tyler Barron, the absurdity to trade up to draft him is just unreal. You traded up to draft him. You gave away multiple draft picks. Next year's 4th rounder to move up 10 spots in the 5th round makes no sense to me. If you wanted an edge rusher with potential, whatever, you could have got him in the 4th round. Right there. When you were drafting this bum-ass wide receiver, you could have got an edge rusher. Hands down. If you needed an edge rusher, because you need depth at the defensive end spot, it's right there in the 4th round. And then back here, you could have taken Arian Smith. I still would have said you took a non-football player, but it would have been your last pick in the draft, and then you're just chasing potential. There's no potential with Tyler Barron. This is just a guy who looked good in his underwear as a 16-year-old, and all the recruiting websites told you he's a 4- and 5-star player. And they can never change that narrative. So anytime he hits the transfer portal, they, oh my God, former 4-star, 5-star players in the transfer portal. He's the best ever. And they stick to that narrative because they got to get it right. They got to say that these guys were draft picks. That's their claim to fame. They don't care about accuracy. That's not a real football player. Not a Sunday level football player. No, I've watched the tape. I never once thought, man, that's a Sunday guy. NFL caliber. I mean, I've had years to tell you how good he is. I've had years to coincide with the recruiting websites who told you how good he is. And here he is, the last pick in the draft for the Jets. How good was he? How good was he? When I can see transfers from Coastal Carolina getting drafted ahead of him. Transfers from Rhode Island getting drafted ahead of him. Transfers from Duke getting drafted ahead of him. But you're trying to convince me he's the best defensive end in the transfer portal. But when the NFL draft came, last pick, and you're trading up to get him? Silly, utter fucking nonsense, bro. Tyler Batty's better than this dude, and Tyler Batty went undrafted. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows the Jets. Not it. And New York fans, cope.